Hello, my name is Anna Wilson, and today I'll be presenting my application presentation, Lifelong Learner, Adaptation in the Ever-Changing World of Education. We have several topics on the agenda today. Each one will have a title slide so you know exactly what's coming next. First up is about me. My name is Anna Wilson, a dedicated educator and lifelong learner committed to supporting student growth and success. Originally from Tennessee, I now reside in Madison, Alabama, where I continue to grow both personally and professionally. I'm passionate about creating meaningful learning experiences and building strong connections with my students. I believe learning is a shared experience in my classroom, where both the students and I grow and learn together. Each year in education has strengthened my ability to adapt, reflect, and improve my practice. I'm committed to continuously seeking new strategies and ideas to enhance student engagement and support all diverse learning needs. Next is professional values. As an educator, I value respect, inclusivity, and fairness. Respect means explaining what it is to my students and modeling respectful interaction with my students. To model inclusivity, I provide inclusive materials like books, images, and hold discussions about different cultures. To model fairness, I give every child an opportunity to speak their mind and opinions. Next, we have personal biases. In my experience so far, I've struggled the most with behavior bias. When a child has difficulty listening, participating productively, and distracts other students, it can be difficult for me to feel like they care or deserve my support. In my career, though, I've come to realize that the child struggling the most with behavior are the ones that need the most understanding and patience. To combat this bias, I keep the professional disposition of learners in mind, specifically fairness. Fairness highlights the importance of building positive relationships and taking time to understand my students. Next is ethics and professionalism. I give my students what they deserve from me as a teacher. I want respect, fairness, and honesty, so that's what they'll receive. Participation in my class goes up significantly when I show my students that I too am a person that makes mistakes. This creates respect. I tell them stories about mistakes I made as a student, and I reward my students for honesty if they've made a mistake. Next is cultural framework. I consider my own culture and biases to create a respectful environment. Cultural effects have a huge impact on student learning. Students all have different backgrounds, and my teaching and classroom will reflect this. As an educator, I get to know my students and their families. I learn about my students' cultures through discussion and surveys. My classroom will have representation through displays, literature, and artwork. I'll structure my classroom in a way that encourages partner and group work to help my students make friends as well as learn about each other in the process. I'll invite guest speakers, even student family members, to speak or read or do a project with the class. It's important for me to recognize how participation will affect student grades for my students who are not English speaking or from other cultures. If a student does not understand due to their background, I have different expectations. High expectations. I expect to see my students' best effort. Each child is different, so for each student, I expect different performances. Knowing my students shows me what I should be expecting. When I see a student performing less than I know they're capable, I have an open discussion with no judgment. I believe it's the best way for me to maintain high expectations and see them to come to fruition is by having constant dialogue with students and parents. Next, we have high expectations communication. To have productive and respectful relationships with students, I communicate with the student, their parents, and their other teachers. Active listening is essential to having successful relationships. I allow my students to speak freely without interruption and an open mind from me. Having good communication is vital in a classroom. Next, we have high expectations technology. Technology can be a great way to promote learning in the classroom, and I plan to take full advantage. I stay up to date on new ways to engage my students through the use of technology. But before using it, I explain to my students how to use it responsibly, i.e. plagiarism and cheating. I explain how I want to hear their voice, not another student or someone else on the internet. I use games, slideshows, and images to get my students excited about learning. Some examples of the educational games I use are Kahoot, ABC Mouse, and IXL. Next, we have High Expectations Professional Practice. To maintain a productive classroom, organization is essential. In my classroom, I label materials clearly, use weekly notes to prepare daily resources in advance, and teach students consistent routines for where items belong. I also maintain organized monthly binders with lesson plans, ensuring I stay prepared, efficient, and focused on effective instruction each day. Following standards. I consistently follow professional and ethical teaching standards. I plan and deliver well-structured and engaging lessons and maintain organization in instruction, materials, and classroom routines. I use data and reflection to improve instructional practices, demonstrate professionalism through reliability, preparedness, and accountability. Next, we have high expectations, laws, and policy. Following laws and policies is a critical part of maintaining a safe and professional classroom. As an educator, it's my responsibility to understand and follow school, district, and state guidelines at all times. This includes protecting student privacy, supporting accommodations like IEPs, and making ethical decisions. By being consistent, I create a safe learning environment by also modeling professionalism and responsibility for my students. Next, professional learning goals. My professional learning goals focus on improving classroom management, strengthening my ability to differentiate instruction, and increasing student engagement. These areas are important because they directly impact student success and classroom environment. By continuing to grow in these areas, I can become a more effective and responsive educator who meets the diverse needs of all students. Next, professional development. My professional development as a teacher is centered on continuous growth, reflection, and a commitment to meeting the diverse needs of my students. I aim to strengthen my classroom management skills, improve differentiation strategies, and increase student engagement through meaningful and interactive lessons. I also value collaboration with colleagues, as it allows me to learn new approaches and reflect on my practice. Participating in workshops, professional learning communities, and ongoing training helps me stay current with best practices in education. By seeking feedback, I can continue developing into an effective, responsive, and supportive educator. Next, reflection and growth. Reflection and growth are essential components of my professional journey. Through regular reflection, I can evaluate what strategies were effective and identify areas that need improvement. This process allows me to make informed decisions that better support student learning and classroom engagement. Growth comes from a willingness to adapt, try new approaches, and learn from both success and challenges. Seeking feedback from colleagues, administrators, and students can also provide valuable insight. By remaining open to change and committed to continuous improvement, I can refine the practice over time and create a more positive and effective learning environment for all my students. My conclusion. As an educator with the support of the professional disposition of learners, awareness of personal bias, and school standards, I'll provide my students with a safe, fair, and inclusive learning experience. My personal values as a future educator include respect, fairness, and a commitment to creating an inclusive learning environment for all students. I recognize that I may bring personal biases shaped by my own experience, but I'm committed to reflecting on these biases to ensure that they do not negatively impact my students. Ethical behavior in the classroom means treating all students with dignity, maintaining confidentiality, and modeling honesty and integrity. I'll foster a culturally responsive classroom by valuing students' diverse backgrounds, which can positively impact engagement and achievement. This aligns with respect for the diversity of others, fairness, and professional conduct, as well as principles 1 and 3 of the Model Code of Ethics. High expectations in the profession mean consistently holding myself and my students to high standards. In communication, This means being clear, respectful, and collaborative with students, families, and colleagues. In technology, it involves using digital tools responsibly and effectively to enhance learning. For professional standards of practice, I'll engage in ongoing learning and apply best practices. Regarding laws and policies, I'll follow school and district guidelines to ensure a safe and equitable classroom environment, reflecting high expectations, professional conduct, and honesty. My professional learning goals include improving classroom management, strengthening differentiation strategies, and including student engagement. Relevant PLC topics that will support my growth include culturally responsive teaching, data-driven instruction, and a collaborative planning. Through reflection and dedication, as well as alignment with Principle 2 of the MCEE, I will continue to grow as an effective educator. Thank you so much for watching. Again, my name is Anna Wilson.